This is the Realme 2 Pro. So Realme, it's a sub-brand of Oppo, so this is Oppo's like 5th or 6th device release this year. So stay real with us at Realme Mobiles. That's all the social media channels, I guess. So you have a charging brick and a USB. Wait, no, not a USB-C, a micro USB cable. Boo. I don't know why Oppo and Vivo are still releasing phones with a micro USB cable instead of USB-C. A little bit disappointing. So it comes with a rubber gel case, and that is it. So no earphones. There is a headphone jack though. 2 Pro for over a week now. Realme, aka Oppo, they were nice enough to give me this phone more than a week before the embargo lifted. So by the time you're watching this video, I had already been using it for more than a week. Like that unboxing clip you just shot was like from a week ago. So first things first, this phone, obviously the selling point is the design. For a mid-tier device, this is really stunning. You have a 6.3-inch LCD display with a small notch that Oppo introduced like a couple months ago with the R17, R15 I believe. There's a little bit of a chin, but it's not big. It's full video. When you watch videos on Android devices that are notch, they tend to cut off the left and the right sides. But you know what? I'll lose a little bit of left and right to get a more immersive feeling. Because Instagram story, especially if you're watching a good one anyway, like this one right here is pretty nice. Let me find it. Yeah. So we'll go there. Like you look at the two phones, it just looks a lot better on the Realme 2 Pro than on the iPhone XS Plus, in my opinion anyway. So let's talk about the specs really quick. Snapdragon 660. This review unit has 6 gigs of RAM inside, but it comes up to 8 gigs of RAM, and there's 128 gigs of internal storage. So Snapdragon 660, it's a mid-tier chipset that is more than powerful enough for most people, especially for its price range, but obviously you can't compare to an A45 or Apple's new A12. So I ran two benchmarks. You see 1453 single core, 5421 multi-core. And I also ran it through PC Bench, which I will have to grab a screenshot right here. Scored a 7894 on the work 2.0 performance on PC Mark. That's very, very impressive. So, like close to 8,000. That's like almost as powerful as what the Huawei Mate 10 Pro scored. And the Huawei Mate 10 Pro is still a pretty powerful phone, even though we're just about 10 days away from getting the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. So on the back of the phone, you have this kind of reflective glass back. It feels pretty nice. It definitely feels a lot nicer than the Poco phone's plastic back. And you have right here the Realme logo, and the fingerprint reader is fast and furious. Works every time. There's also face unlock, obviously, and that is scary fast too. Turn on the screen, tilt it to my face, unlocks immediately. So in terms of camera hardware, the Realme 2 Pro has a 16 megapixel selfie camera, and on the back's main lens is also 16 megapixel with an f1.7 aperture, so that's really good, and they're all Sony IMX sensors. There's a secondary 6 megapixel depth sensor that also provides a little bit of a 2x lossless zoom. It looks pretty good. It doesn't work as well as me2 16X, which gets up to 3x zoom, but this is good enough. The camera app, very similar to all the previous Oppo camera apps I tested. I made a video on this a couple months ago actually, so if you're interested in checking that out, you should go, I'll have a link in the description. So that camera app, it's very swipe heavy. You swipe from right to left to cycle through all the modes. You have Expert, which is Pro, Panorama, Stickers. This puts like an AR sticker on the subject's face. Portrait mode, which works surprisingly well. And then you have these kind of, these are obviously inspired by the iPhone X's stage lighting, and unfortunately they don't work too well. But the main camera mode is good. Shutter speed is really fast. You have an easy zoom right here. The selfie button is really easy to switch to, just like that. The photos come out pretty nice too. I'll have samples later. Video recording right here, same thing. I like that you get a full screen view. You can shoot in either 1080p or up to 4K. But when you shoot in 4K, no stabilization whatsoever. When you shoot in 1080p, you get EIS at least, which it's pretty decent, not the best. And then you have time lapse right here. So let's look at some photo samples. In general, the Realme 2 Pro shoots really amazing photos for this price range. Like you look at this shot, it's very... There's a train station that goes from Hong Kong to China, southern China, in like 20 minutes or something. It's crazy. I haven't tried it yet. So you get really good details. It's a really good balanced image, accurate colors. Okay, so let me find an image that's a little bit more challenging. So right here, this is a nighttime image. This is really solid for this price range. This is a pretty low light situation in Hong Kong at night. So when you zoom in, you do see a little bit of noise, but not too bad. You see right here, this is a little bit blown out, but you know, it is what it is. Compare this to the same shot taken with the iPhone XS Max. So remember, this phone right here on me, it's like 1,200 US dollars. So obviously you get more details, you get more lighting, you see the difference in lighting. But in terms of balance, the Realme 2 Pro might actually come out a little bit more balanced. This obviously pulled in more lighting than the actual scene. Like this is a lot more accurate. So we'll check out a couple more photos. You know, shutter speed is really fast. This dog was moving his head really fast all the time. It still caught him with only a little bit of a blur. So this is really well balanced considering the situation. This is not how I look in real life. V11, I think it holds up pretty well. So we'll look at one more shot. This is a difficult shot to shoot actually because the sky was so bright at the time. So if I use an inferior camera, the sky would have been blown out. Either that or this part would have been completely dark and I couldn't see anything. But this shot came out really well balanced. This is an excellent image that can compare to the best phones out there. So only in low light situation will you see the slightly inferiority of the Realme 2 Pro's camera. We'll check out a video sample. We'll find one where I actually walk to see how the EIS work in daytime. See, so I'm walking right now. This is pretty smooth. The EIS is working. Usually when I review the cheaper phones, you know, from like Liegu or Doogie, whenever I walk, it becomes super jerky. So this is EIS actually working. But it only works up to 1080p. When you shoot in 4K, then the EIS gets thrown out the window. This is another bokeh shot I thought turned out very nice, very artistic. So as you can see, I've been swiping around the phone. That's because Vivo software. This is, I believe, Color OS. This little bar right here, you see that when you swipe, you bring up this little shortcut toggle. This is obviously inspired by Samsung's Edge panel, which you swipe from the edge. It makes more sense on a Samsung phone because the screen is actually curved. This is a completely flat panel, but it's still nice to have a little shortcut, although I think the shortcut's a little bit redundant. Like for example, Facebook, Instagram, I only have Facebook, Instagram on my homepage. I guess the theory is you can put more obscure apps like maybe calendar or calculator right here. So Color OS software is mostly okay. You're able to expand notifications, a lot of Max. This phone supposedly has great battery life, but the Realme 2 Pro has been outlasting the iPhone every single time. I bring both phones out, I use both phones, and then this phone would die on me like near the end of the day, like around 9-10 p.m. and this phone would still have like 25-30% battery life. Battery life is even better than the Galaxy Note 9. The phone does come with a lot of bloatware out of the box. You get a lot of these apps, like this is what, like Vietnamese news right here, Vieng Nay News, Zing MP3. The good news is you can delete all of these, but there are a lot. Like out of the box, there was maybe like 10 of these, and then you have like Lazada, which is I believe a Singapore store that sells electronics. So these are all partnerships that Realme has partnered up with Southeast Asian businesses to, you know, subsidize the fact that this is a mid-tier phone that sells at a pretty decent price. Okay, time for the usual audio video tests. So this is only a single speaker grill at the bottom. See, completely muffled. But you know, considering how small the notch is, you can't blame them for having no front speaker here. There is an earpiece here for phone calls though, and it sounds great. So go up to 50%. Speaker's good though, even though it's single. There's a little bit of, you know, it's pretty good balance. 100%, okay, at 100%, there's quite a bit of distortion. I did the conversion to US dollars. That means the cheapest variant starts at about 180 US dollars, and the highest variant, that's with 8 gigs of RAM,